This review is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage, formerly known as Sloth Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage, faster than sloths. Blackwater Archives, The Art of the Order 1886, has art from all stages of the game's development. Throughout the book, there's developer commentary that explains the design decisions for a lot of the art. Overall, it's an exceptionally good video game art book, and I consider it the gold standard. All other gaming art books should be shooting for this level of quality. This review will cover the quality of the physical book itself, the content of the book, the aesthetics, and the nostalgia evoked by the book. I'll also talk about how it provides insight into the game's development. Let's start with the quality of the physical book. It's wonderfully wide, just about 12 inches by 9 inches. It has about 261 pages if you don't count the usual stuff at the beginning and the end. It has a hard cover that's bound in leather. The pages seem to be of high quality. As for the image quality, I think a couple of the screenshots were probably blown up too big, but on the whole, I think the image quality is great. Overall, the quality of the physical book is exceptionally good. Now on to the meat of the review, the content. Is there much variety in the images and the image types? I think so. There's some rough sketches, iteration art, some more finalized concept art, inspiration, mood concept art, some storyboard-ish type art. There's also final CGI images and screenshots. All in all, I think there's probably too many final renders and screenshots, but the point of this book is to show the design process, so I guess it makes sense that they show you the final result. Alright, how is it organized? Does it make sense? The book is organized into chapters with characters, half-breeds, weapons and devices, and environments. It first shows the final CGI version of something, and then it shows the process of how it was developed. Throughout the book, each image is clearly and simply labeled, and overall, the book feels well organized. Is there writing or insight from the artists and developers themselves? Yes, and it's completely my ideal type of commentary. They talk about how and why they designed things the way that they did, the roadblocks they face, and how they dealt with them. For example, how could you make someone look like they've been around for hundreds of years, but not make them look elderly? Well, the developers discovered that they could achieve this look by adding wrinkles and scars to the face, but without adding the effects of gravity. Now, I found things like this very interesting to read about, and it added a lot of depth to the images. The captions are like having a tour guide with you throughout the book, and you get so much more out of the images because of the commentary. I really liked this section where they wrote about how they designed the werewolves. They wanted them to look like humans whose DNA was altered thousands of years ago. I'd never really thought before about how a wolf and a human share similar frames. In the pictures, the legs of a werewolf seem so different than the legs of a human, until you realize they simply have elongated feet and walk on their toes. Insight like this abounds in the book, and it's much better than the commentary found in some other art books. It's unclear to me who's doing the writing, but I think it's the creative director of the game. It's to the point and offers lots of different insights into the design choices. I really liked it. Does it have what you want to see? Well, what would you want to see in an art book about the Order 1886? Characters, werewolves, the weapons, environments. Well, that's exactly what it has. The book has over 250 pages for a game that's something like 8 hours long. Now that's a great ratio. Each character, each location, each monster is explored in decent depth. And crucially, it's not too much. I thought there was just enough of each topic to keep my interest. I personally had particular interest in seeing the development of the werewolves, and as I've mentioned, this book does a great job with that. And as I've also mentioned, this book has a lot of worthwhile developer commentary. I can't think of anything I would want from this book that isn't already in it. Overall, the content is exceptionally good. It has art from different stages of the design process with substantive commentary throughout, and there isn't anything missing. Alright, on to the aesthetics. Does it have an artistic, pleasant layout? Like so few video game art books, it's in a wide format, which is perfect for the material inside. This was the first wide format video game art book I bought, and I've been a huge fan ever since. It should be the standard. I can't emphasize enough how much better it is than the standard tall art books. I really liked the organizational aesthetic. Under each image is a simple label like figure 31.21, and another section of the page gives more information about the label. like how you'd see things in an art gallery. It makes it easy to navigate the book's commentary while also keeping a clean aesthetic. Another thing I really liked is that when there's full double-page art, it's labeled ahead of time, so you don't go searching for the caption after the fact. It's a small thing, but very much appreciated when looking through an art book. Are there any full pages of art? Yeah, there are many. As for the quality of the art itself, it's really a matter of personal taste, but I think the concept artists are very talented. Other things worth mentioning about the aesthetics. The cover is amazing. It looks amazing and feels amazing. It's leather, and the trim and the emblem are debossed. That means it's kind of sunken in. Now, I don't know enough about paper to give a detailed analysis of it, but the pages feel thicker and nicer than most art books. It's not quite how I imagine an old scroll would feel, but it's close. Overall, the aesthetics of the book are exceptionally good. On to the nostalgia part of the review. Though the game has two notable faults, I think it's actually quite good. And looking through this art book has made me want a sequel even more than I did before. A lot of the art inside reminded me of even relatively minor scenes in the game. And looking through this book made me want to play the game again to notice all of the little things that I'd learned about. This book does an exceptionally good job at evoking nostalgia. I probably like the game even more after looking through the book. Alright, on to the part of the review I call Backstage, which is kind of where I talk about little extras we learn about the game. If you think back to the game, its two main flaws were the werewolf battles and the fact that it ends in the middle of the story. The rest of the game's great, including the art design, and that's made all the more apparent when you look through this book. One thing I liked is that there's lots of little details about how the developers artistically and technically made the game look so good. Unlike pretty much every other video game art book I've ever seen, this book very clearly gives credit to each artist on each image. We even get images of the artists themselves in the back of the book. Similarly to when I read the Killzone art book, I wondered if the design team's talents aren't better spent on another type of game. They're very talented and detail-oriented, but I think the average player simply didn't notice how well-designed everything is due to the linear and brief nature of the Order 1886. I think the Killzone team was always very talented, but it wasn't until they made a much larger game that the average consumer really noticed. Hopefully, the developer Ready at Dawn can make a game where they're appreciated for how good they've always been. Well, in closing, though every aspect of this book isn't the very best I've ever seen in a video game art book, every area is very strong and it doesn't really have any significant shortcomings. It was put together by Blue Canvas and Section Studios, but I can't find much about them online. Whoever it is that put this book together, I wish they made more video game art books. One issue with this book, sadly, is the price. I believe I paid $60 for it, which was steep, but worth it. Now apparently it now goes for like $350 or more on Amazon, which is just crazy. Well, sorry to end the review on that downer. Different people want different things in video game art books, but I hope this review has been helpful in showing you what's in this book. If you have any complaints about this video, please contact my customer support center at comcast.com/support.